If you're a man over 40 trying to lose extra weight around your midsection, here's a number that should get your attention. 73% of men in your age bracket who successfully lose belly fat gain it all back within 12 months. Not because they quit, not because they stopped caring, but because the approach they use set them up to fail from the start. In today's video, I'm breaking down the 3 things every failed fat loss attempt has in common, then showing you how to flip each one into an approach that actually sticks. And it starts with the first trap almost every man over 40 falls into. And I bet this one's familiar. You hit a point where you'd had enough. Maybe it was a photo, maybe it was how you felt getting out of bed one morning, maybe it was just a decision. Either way, you decided you were going to lock in, and at that point, go all in. So you pick something aggressive, a crash diet, intermittent fasting, CrossFit every day, Orange Theory 5 times a week, whatever it was, it doesn't really matter, but you committed. And here's the thing, it's not the specific approach that's the problem, it's the thinking that led you there that's the problem. Because if you just took 1 second, literally 1 second, and asked yourself, could I actually do this for the rest of my life? You'd already know the answer. Your knees would tell you, your schedule would tell you, your social life would tell you, hell, your love for bread would tell you. But that's not how all or nothing thinking works. All or nothing thinking doesn't ask that question, it just goes. And it works for a while. The scale moves, you feel like you figured it out. Then one of 2 things happens. Either the approach becomes unsustainable and you quit outright, or, and this one's more common, you lose some weight, start feeling a bit better, get a little comfortable, and slowly ease up. The workouts get less frequent, the diet gets a little looser, and before you know it, you're back to the same habits, the same weight, the same everything, until the cycle just repeats again. That's not a discipline failure, it's a design failure. The approach had a finish line built in from day 1. So here's the fix. Before you pick any approach, a diet, training plan, literally anything, ask yourself one question. Do I see myself doing this forever? Not forever in a perfect world, forever in your actual life, your travel schedule, your client dinners, your family weekends, your body at 45. Your fat loss diet and your maintenance diet should feel almost identical. Same meal, same rhythm, just slightly less calories. Your training plan should be something you actually look forward to, not something you just survive until you're allowed to stop. That's not how this is gonna work. Because the process that gets you to your goal has to be the same process you live at once you're there. If it's not, if it has a finish line, and you already know what happens at that finish line. The guys I work with who lose it and never think about it again, didn't find a better diet. I didn't help them find the training plan that's all magic. They just built a diet and a training plan and a lifestyle that they didn't need an escape from, one they wanted to maintain. Here's the second trap, and this is the one where most guys who feel like they're doing everything right are actually getting it dead wrong. Most men think under-eating equals fat loss. The bigger the deficit, the faster the results. So they slash everything, calories, carbs, fats, all of it. Eat as little as possible, suffer through it, try to get lean. But here's what's actually happening when you do that. When you don't eat enough protein, your body breaks down muscle for fuel. Less muscle means slower metabolism. You're not just losing fat, you're making it harder to lose fat in the future. When you slash healthy fats, your hormones take a hit. Testosterone drops, fat storage increases, the very hormone you need to hold muscle and stay lean is actually working against you now. When you cut carbs entirely, your cortisol spikes, energy crashes, and your thyroid, which regulates your metabolism, starts to dysfunction. And when you're not getting enough micronutrients, vitamins, minerals, every metabolic process in your body slows down. Your body can't operate efficiently when you're running on E. You can't starve your way to a better metabolism. Starvation is just not a strategy. It's a damage with delay on it. But the distinction that changes everything is this: prioritize before you restrict. Here's what I mean. First, prioritize protein. 1 gram per pound of ideal body weight, that's non-negotiable. This is what protects your muscle when you're in a deficit. Second, don't fear carbs. Time them around your training, use them as fuel. Third, eat like an adult. You can't skip micronutrients, your fruits and vegetables, and expect your body to perform. Eat at least 5 servings a day, yes, a day, of fruits and vegetables. Different colors, different meals. This is your simplest insurance policy against deficiencies. Then, and only then, when you have done those things, is when you get into a small, sustainable deficit. I'm talking about 500 to 750 calories below your maintenance, not 1,000, not 1,500, just enough to lose fat without triggering your body's defense mechanisms. You're not just eating less, you're eating smarter, and that's a completely different game. And the third trap is what I call the pendulum problem, and it gets everyone, even the guys who avoided the first 2 traps I talked about earlier, because most men only have 2 modes, full restriction or full chaos. They're great at white knuckling a strict diet, and they're equally great at eating like there are no consequences, or like one of my clients says, like a complete asshole. What they never learned, what nobody's ever taught them, is the middle. Here's what it looks like in practice. The diet ends, there's no plan for what comes next, so they swing straight back to old habits. And when you do that, we already know what happens. The weight comes back fast, and oftentimes it brings some friends too. The pendulum keeps swinging because nobody ever taught them how to stop it. So here's the fix. Maintenance isn't absence of a diet, it's a skill, and like any skill, it has to be learned and practiced. After a fat loss phase, you don't just stop, you transition. You step your calories back up gradually, not in one jump, but over a few weeks until you're eating at your true maintenance, your TDEE, the number of calories your body needs to hold your current weight. Then you hold there. 6 to 8 weeks minimum, not cutting, not in chaos, just consistent. Most men have never done this. They've only been at one extreme or the other, but this is where the results actually get locked in. When you can hold your weight for 6 to 8 weeks without obsessing over food, without feeling deprived, without white knuckling it, your body has accepted this weight as your new home. The set point has moved. And when you go into a next fat loss phase from that place, it's much easier. Your metabolism is recovered, your hormones are stable, your hunger signals are normal. You're not fighting your biology anymore. You're working with it. That's how you stop the pendulum, not with more discipline, with a better plan for what comes after. That's the framework to destroy your belly fat and keep it off. 3 traps, 3 fixes, and none of it requires working harder than what you've already done. All or nothing thinking gets replaced with a sustainable approach you actually want to live with. Starvation gets replaced with smarter fueling by prioritizing before you restrict. And the pendulum problem gets replaced with a plan for what comes after. Most men spend years losing the same weight on repeat, not because they lack discipline, but because nobody actually gave them a system that actually accounts for how your body works. Now you have one. If you want to go deeper, start with understanding exactly what body fat percentage you should be targeting and why it changes everything for men over 40. I'll link that video right here. Cheers.